The hot Nevada sun beat down on the military training facility as Major Lee Do-hyun watched his Special Forces team complete their morning exercise. The air was dry, and dust clouds rose from the ground as his soldiers moved through the obstacle course. Do-hyun smiled as he checked their completion times on his tablet. They were getting better every day. "Sir, you need to see this," said Captain Choi Dae-sung, running up to him with a worried look. He pointed at the sky above the facility. Do-hyun looked up and froze. A large, silver ship hung in the air, about the size of a football field. It didn't look like any aircraft he had ever seen. The ship's surface was smooth, without any visible windows or doors, and it made no sound at all. "Get everyone inside the command center," Do-hyun ordered. His training kicked in as he activated his radio. "All units, return to base immediately. This is not a drill." Within minutes, the entire team gathered in the command center. Through the windows, they watched as the strange ship slowly descended to the empty field next to their facility. Base alarms started to sound, and Do-hyun could hear helicopter rotors in the distance. "Sir, Washington is on the line," Lieutenant Nam Soo-hyuk said, holding out a secure phone. Before Do-hyun could take it, a bright blue light appeared in the middle of the command center. His team quickly formed a defensive circle, weapons ready. The light grew brighter, and 5 figures materialized in front of them. The strangers looked almost human, except for their silvery skin and slightly larger eyes. They wore dark blue uniforms with strange symbols on their shoulders. The one in front, who appeared to be their leader, raised both hands to show they were empty. "Please, there is no need for weapons," the leader said in perfect English. "I am Commander Kang Hae-nul of the Stellar Guard. We come with a proposal for Earth's warriors." Do-hyun kept his hand on his pistol, but signaled his team to lower their weapons. "I'm Major Lee Do-hyun, United States Special Forces. You'll understand if we remain cautious." Hae-nul smiled, showing teeth that looked just like human ones. "Of course, we have been watching Earth's military forces for some time. Your species is interesting. Despite your limited technology, you show remarkable skill and adaptation in combat situations." "And why exactly have you been watching us?" Do-hyun asked, noting how his team was discreetly moving to better defensive positions. "We seek worthy opponents for a friendly competition," Hae-nul explained. He gestured to his team. "These are my best warriors. We believe that competition between different species helps us all grow stronger. We would be honored if your team would accept our challenge." One of Hae-nul's team members, a female with short silver hair, stepped forward. "I am Ryu Tae-yang, weapons specialist. We have heard much about Earth's special forces. Are the stories of your skills true?" Master Sergeant Park Ji-won, Do-hyun's hand-to-hand combat expert, couldn't help but smile. "Why don't you stick around and find out?" The tension in the room dropped slightly. Do-hyun could see his team's curiosity starting to overcome their caution. These aliens didn't seem hostile. In fact, they reminded him of visiting military units eager for joint training exercises. "Any competition would need approval from my superiors," Do-hyun said carefully. Hae-nul nodded. "Of course. We have already sent our formal request to your world leaders. They are discussing it now. We chose your team specifically because your training records show exceptional performance and adaptation capabilities." Combat medic Kim Yoo-jin spoke up from her position near the communications console. "You've been monitoring our training records." "Among other things," another alien said. This one introduced himself as Moon Yun-ho. "Your team's performance in last month's desert survival exercise was particularly impressive." Do-hyun was about to respond when the secure phone rang again. This time, he answered it. After a few minutes of listening, he turned to face both teams. "Well," he said, "it seems Washington is interested in your proposal, Commander Hae-nul. They've given us permission to hear the details of this competition, under careful supervision, of course." Hae-nul's silver face broke into a wide grin. "Excellent. I believe both our teams will learn much from each other, And perhaps, if all goes well, this could be the beginning of something much bigger. The aliens and humans looked at each other with a mixture of caution and curiosity. Neither team knew it yet, but this unusual meeting would lead to adventures beyond anything they had imagined. 3 days after the aliens arrived, the training facility buzzed with activity. Major Lee Do-hyun stood at the shooting range, watching as both teams prepared for their first challenge. The morning air was cool, and the sun was just starting to peek over the mountains. "The rules are simple," Commander Kang Hae-nul explained, holding up one of his team's energy weapons. "Each team will use their own weapons. Highest score wins." He demonstrated by firing at a target 500 meters away, creating a small, perfect hole in the center. Do-hyun nodded to Master Sergeant Park Ji-won, who stepped forward with his standard-issue rifle. The target reset itself, and Ji-won took his position. He breathed slowly, aimed, and fired 3 shots. All 3 hit near the center. "Impressive accuracy with such basic technology," Ryu Tae-yang said, genuine respect in her voice. She stepped up next, her silver hand steady on her weapon. Her shots left glowing marks on the target, forming a tight group in the bullseye. The competition continued through the morning. The aliens' weapons were more advanced, but the humans' years of training showed in their consistency. When the final scores were tallied, the aliens won by only a small margin. "Next up, hand-to-hand combat," Do-hyun announced. They moved to the training mat set up in the gym. Combat medic Kim Yoo-jin watched from the side as Ji-won squared off against Moon Yun-ho. The alien was faster, but Ji-won's experience in multiple martial arts gave him an edge. Their sparring match drew gasps and cheers from both teams. "Your fighting style is unlike anything in our database," Yun-ho said after Ji-won helped him up from the mat. "You combine different techniques in unexpected ways." Ji-won smiled. "That's because we learn to adapt. Every opponent is different, so we can't rely on just one way of fighting." The day continued with more challenges. The humans surprised the aliens with their problem-solving skills during the tactical scenarios. In one exercise, Captain Choi Dae-sung used simple rope and pulleys to bypass a high-tech security system, making the aliens laugh in appreciation. "We would have spent time trying to hack the system," Song Min-ji admitted. "Your solution was much faster." During a short break, both teams sat together in the mess hall. Lieutenant Nam Soo-hyuk shared his water with Lee Hai-rin, who was fascinated by the simple plastic bottle. "We use energy containers," she explained, "but this is more practical in many ways." Do-hyun noticed how the 2 teams were starting to relax around each other. The aliens asked questions about human military traditions, while his team was curious about life among the stars. "Your species is full of surprises," Hae-nul told Do-hyun as they watched their teams interact. "Most races we meet either fear us or try to prove their superiority. Your team does neither. We've learned that respect and cooperation usually work better than fear or pride," Do-hyun replied. "Besides, how often do we get to train with aliens?" The afternoon brought more challenges, including a complex obstacle course. The aliens were stronger and faster, but the humans showed better endurance and heat resistance. Each team won some events and lost others, but the gap in their overall scores remained small. As the sun set, both teams gathered to review their performance. The aliens shared recordings from their advanced cameras, while the humans explained their tactical decisions. Everyone was tired but excited about what they had learned. "Tomorrow, we move on to the really interesting challenges," Hae-nul announced with a mysterious smile. "I hope you're ready for something completely different." Do-hyun looked at his team, seeing the determination in their eyes. They had held their own against an advanced alien species, and their confidence had grown throughout the day. Whatever tomorrow would bring, they would face it together. That night, as the stars came out over the desert facility, both teams could feel that this was more than just a competition. It was the beginning of something new, a bridge between two warrior cultures who had found unexpected common ground on Earth. The second day of competition brought unexpected changes to the training facility. Commander Kang Hae-Newell announced that the morning's events would be delayed due to necessary equipment maintenance. This created free time that both teams would use in surprising ways. Master Sergeant Park Ji-won found Ryu Ta-yang in the gym, studying the practice dummies with great interest. She turned to him with curious eyes. "Your fighting techniques," she said, "they are different from anything in our records. Would you teach me some basics?" Ji-won smiled and stepped onto the training mat. "I'll show you Taekwondo first. It's a traditional Korean martial art." He demonstrated a basic stance. The key is balance and control. In the medical bay, combat medic Kim Yoo-jin and Moon Yun-ho were deep in conversation. Yun-ho examined the human first aid supplies while Yoo-jin studied the alien medical scanner he had brought. "Your healing methods are so direct," Yun-ho said, holding up a package of bandages. "We rely too much on technology sometimes. These simple solutions could save lives if our advanced equipment fails." Yoo-jin nodded. "But your scanner is amazing. It shows everything happening inside the body. Maybe we could combine our methods somehow." In another part of the facility, Captain Choi Dae-sung sat with Song Min-ji, trading stories about communications technology. Min-ji laughed when Dae-sung explained how humans still used radio waves for much of their communication. "Simple does not mean inferior," Min-ji said. "Your methods work well on Earth. Our advanced systems sometimes fail in new environments. We could learn from your adaptability." Major Lee Do-hyun found Commander Hae-Newell in the observation room, watching their teams interact. The alien commander seemed pleased. "This was not what I expected," Hae-Newell admitted. "Usually, different species keep their distance during competitions, but your team is different." Do-hyun watched as Lieutenant Nam Soo-hyuk showed Lee Hai-rin how to field strip and reassemble a human rifle. "We're curious by nature," he said, "and your team seems just as interested in learning from us." In the mess hall, both teams gathered for lunch. The aliens tried human military rations while the humans examined the aliens' food tablets. Stories and laughter filled the room as they shared experiences from their different worlds. "Tell us about space combat," Ji-won asked Ta-yang. "Is it anything like our movies?" Ta-yang described battles between starships, but added that most fights happened on planets. "Space is too vast," she explained. "Ground combat will always be important. Warriors must still face each other directly." The afternoon brought more informal exchanges. The aliens learned about human military traditions, while the humans heard stories about distant worlds and alien cultures. Every conversation seemed to find common ground between their different ways of life. "Your world has so many different cultures," Yun-ho said, as Yoo-jin showed him pictures from Korean and American military ceremonies. "Yet you work together well. This is rare among the stars." As evening approached, both teams realized they had learned more during this unplanned break than they had during the formal competition. The initial strangeness between them had faded, replaced by genuine respect and curiosity. Do-hyun found his team talking late into the night with their alien counterparts. They discussed everything from combat tactics to favorite foods. The competition had become secondary to the connections they were forming. "Tomorrow, we return to the challenges," Hae-Newell announced at the end of the day. "But I think we have all already won something more valuable than any competition." Looking at the mixed groups of humans and aliens still deep in conversation, Do-hyun had to agree. They had started as competitors, but were becoming something else. Friends who could learn from each other's strengths and differences. The stars shone brightly over the desert facility that night, watching over two groups of warriors who had found unexpected common ground on Earth. None of them knew it yet, but these bonds would soon prove more important than they could imagine. The third day of competition arrived with great excitement. Commander Kang Hae-Newell gathered everyone in a large empty room within the facility. His team brought in several strange devices and placed them around the room. "This is our final challenge," Hae-Newell explained. Our technology will create a battle simulation around us. The goal is simple. Each team must capture the other team's flag while defending their own. Major Lee Do-hyun watched as the aliens activated their devices. The air shimmered, and suddenly they were standing in a dense forest. The trees and ground looked completely real. Do-hyun reached out to touch a tree trunk. It felt solid. The simulation is physical, Song Min-ji explained. You can touch and interact with everything. But don't worry, weapons are set to training mode. They will only mark you with color when they hit. The teams separated to opposite sides of the simulated forest. Do-hyun gathered his team to plan their strategy. Remember our jungle training, he told them. Master Sergeant Park, you take point. Captain Choi, watch our backs. Lieutenant Nam and Medic Kim, stay mobile and ready. The challenge began well. Both teams moved through the forest carefully, using their training and skills. The humans' experience with forest combat matched well against the aliens' advanced technology. Then something changed. The trees started to flicker strangely. The ground beneath their feet became uneven. Lieutenant Nam Soo-hyuk called out in alarm as a tree suddenly disappeared and reappeared next to him. Something's wrong with the simulation. Moon Eun-ho's voice came through their communication devices. The system is becoming unstable. Do-hyun saw the forest start to break apart around them. Parts of the simulation turned into strange shapes and colors. The air itself seemed to twist. Everyone get down, Commander Hae-nul shouted. The containment field is failing. Combat medic Kim Yoo-jin's scanner started beeping rapidly. Major, the energy readings are off the charts. If the field collapses completely, the released energy could destroy the entire facility. Ryu Taeyang finished her thought. She rushed to one of the simulation devices, her fingers moving quickly over its controls. The situation grew worse. The unstable simulation created dangerous effects. Gravity shifted randomly. Objects appeared and disappeared, and energy sparks filled the air. We need to shut it down, Hae-nul called out. But the emergency shutdown isn't working. Do-hyun saw Captain Choi Dae-sung studying the nearest device intently. Sir, Dae-sung said, these machines are connected. If we can't shut them down safely, maybe we can overload them in a controlled way. Lee Hai-rin moved to help him. Yes, if we reverse the power flow in a specific pattern, it could force an emergency shutdown, Min-ji agreed. But we'll need perfect timing. All devices must overload at exactly the same moment. The two teams quickly organized. Each person took position near a device. The humans would time the sequence while the aliens guided them through the technical process. On my mark, Do-hyun shouted over the chaos of the failing simulation. The air crackled with dangerous energy. Parts of the room warped and twisted around them. 3, 2, 1. Now, every team member acted together. The devices whined as their power flow reversed. For a moment, nothing happened. Then all the machines sparked and went dark. The simulation vanished instantly, leaving them in the empty room. Everyone stood still, breathing hard. The danger had passed, but they all knew how close they had come to disaster. Human and alien warriors looked at each other with new understanding. They had faced a real threat together and succeeded. Well, Commander Hae-nul said finally, I believe this ends our formal competition. He looked at the burned-out devices, though perhaps not quite as planned. Major Do-hyun nodded, checking on his team. I think we've learned more about each other from this crisis than we would have from any planned challenge. The room was quiet as both teams realized how their competition had turned into something much more important. A test of their ability to work together when real danger threatened. In the hours after the simulation crisis, both teams worked together to secure the training facility. The afternoon sun cast long shadows through the windows as they cleared away the damaged equipment and checked the building's systems. Major Lee Do-hyun found Commander Kang Hae-nul in the control room, studying data from the incident. The alien commander looked troubled. The simulation systems should not have failed, Hae-Newell said, showing Do-hyun the readings on his screen. We have used them for hundreds of years without problems. Captain Choi Dae-is Hong and Song Min-ji joined them, carrying more data tablets. We think we found the cause, Dae-sung explained. Earth's magnetic field affected the simulation differently than expected. Min-ji nodded in agreement. Our technology was designed for worlds with weaker magnetic fields. We should have checked this first. In the medical bay, combat medic Kim Yoo-jin and Moon Yun-ho examined everyone for signs of exposure to the strange energies. They combined human medical tools with alien scanning technology to ensure nothing was missed. Your quick thinking saved lives today, Yun-ho told Yoo-jin as they worked. Using the heart monitor to detect energy pulses was brilliant. Yoo-jin smiled. And your scanner helped us know exactly where the danger areas were. We make a good team. Master Surgeon Park Ji-won and Ryu Tai-yang walked through the facility, checking for structural damage. They found none, thanks to their fast action during the crisis. I noticed how you adapted our shutdown procedure, Tai-yang said to Ji-won. Adding the countdown made sure everyone acted at exactly the right moment. And your knowledge of the technology made it possible, Ji-won replied. Neither team could have succeeded alone. Lieutenant Nam Soo-hyuk worked with Lee Hai-rin to restore the facility's communications. They had lost contact with outside command during the crisis, but their combined skills got everything working again quickly. Your Earth technologies are more resilient than we thought, Hai-rin admitted. Our advanced systems went down, but your backup radio kept working. Do-hyun gathered everyone in the main conference room for a review of the incident. The mood was serious but positive. They had faced a real danger and overcome it together. Today proved something important. Hae-Newell addressed both teams. Different species with different technologies and methods can work together perfectly when needed. Do-hyun agreed. Each team brought something essential to solving the crisis. The aliens knew their technology, but the humans saw new ways to use it. Together, we found solutions neither team would have discovered alone. They spent the evening documenting everything they had learned. The humans shared their experience with handling unexpected equipment failures. The aliens explained more about their technology's limitations. Both teams took detailed notes, knowing this information could save lives in the future. Perhaps this competition ended up testing something more important than combat skills, Hae-Newell said to Do-hyun as they watched their teams work together. We proved that warriors from different worlds can trust each other completely in a crisis. Do-hyun looked around the room. He saw humans and aliens working side by side, sharing knowledge and experience without hesitation. The competition that had brought them together now seemed less important than what they had discovered about each other. As night fell over the facility, both teams continued their work. The crisis had changed them. They were no longer just two groups having a friendly competition. They had become something new, a single unit that combined the best of both human and alien capabilities. None of them knew it yet, but this change would lead to an even bigger opportunity. The next morning, Commander Kang Hae-Newell called for a special meeting. Both teams gathered in the conference room, curious about what would come after yesterday's events. The sun was just rising over the desert, casting a warm glow through the windows. What I am about to share was not meant to be revealed until after the competition. Hae-Newell began, looking at each person in the room. But after yesterday's crisis, I believe now is the right time. Major Lee Do-hyun noticed that all the alien team members looked unusually serious. Even Ryu Tai-yang, who usually smiled easily, sat straight and formal in her chair. The competition was real, Hae-Newell continued, but it was also a test. The Stellar Guard has been searching the galaxy for something very specific, allies worthy of a special project. He touched a device on his wrist, and a hologram appeared above the conference table. It showed a beautiful planet with 2 moons. The surface had oceans, mountains, and forests that looked similar to Earth's. This is planet T-147, Haynul explained. It sits in neutral space, unclaimed by any species. We have been looking for partners to help us build something there. The first joint military training facility shared between two species. The room went quiet as everyone took in this news. Captain Choi Dae-sung leaned forward, studying the planet's image with great interest. The facility would combine both our technologies and training methods, Song Minji added, a place where humans and aliens could learn from each other, just as we have done here. But why us? Master Sergeant Park Ji-won asked. Earth isn't as advanced as your civilization. Moon Yunho smiled. That's exactly why. Your team has shown us that advanced technology isn't everything. Your adaptability, creativity, and problem-solving skills are incredibly valuable. Yesterday proved this perfectly, Lee Hyrin said. When our technology failed, your simple solutions helped save everyone. This is what we need. Different ways of thinking and solving problems. Do-hyun looked at his team. They all seemed excited by the idea, even though they were trying to stay professional. There's more, Haynul said. We don't want to just build this facility. We want your team to help run it. To be equal partners in training the next generation of both human and alien warriors. Lieutenant Nam Soo-hyuk whistled softly. That's a big offer. It would be the first time in galactic history that two species have created such a partnership, Haynul explained. But after seeing how well our teams work together, I believe it could succeed. Combat medic Kim Yoo-jin raised her hand. Would we be sharing medical knowledge too? The combination of our techniques could save many lives. Everything would be shared, Tae-yang answered. Combat techniques, medical knowledge, technology. We would learn from each other and grow stronger together. Do-hyun stood up and walked to the hologram. The planet slowly rotated, showing more of its surface. This would change everything, he said quietly. Not just for our teams, but for both our species. That's what we're hoping for, Haynul replied. The competition showed us your skills. The crisis proved we can trust each other. Now we offer you the chance to make history. The humans looked at each other, then at their alien counterparts who had become friends. They all knew this was more than just a job offer. It was a chance to be part of something completely new in the galaxy. The next few days were filled with important meetings and careful discussions. Major Lee Do-hyun spent long hours in video conferences with military leaders in Washington. Commander Kang Hae-nul spoke with the Stellar Guard High Command through his ship's communication system. The training facility became a center of diplomatic activity. High-ranking military officers arrived to meet the alien team and evaluate the proposal. Scientists came to study the alien technology and discuss the possibilities of combining human and alien methods. Your leaders asked very thorough questions, Hae-nul told Do-hyun as they left another long meeting. This is good. Such an important decision should not be made quickly. Do-hyun agreed. They're especially interested in your medical technology. Combat medic Kim's report about combining our techniques impressed them greatly. In the facility's lab, Captain Choi Dae-sung worked with Song Minji to create detailed plans for the training center's communication systems. They showed how human and alien technology could work together without the problems they had faced during the simulation crisis. The magnetic field issue helped us, Minji explained to the visiting scientists. Now we know how to adjust our technology to work safely on different planets. Master Sergeant Park Ji-won and Ryu Tae-yang prepared demonstrations of combined combat techniques. They showed how human martial arts could be adapted to work against opponents with different physical capabilities. This is just the beginning, Ji-won told the observing officers. Imagine what we could develop with proper training facilities and time to practice together. Lieutenant Nam Soo-hyuk and Lee Hyrin focused on security plans for the new facility. They designed systems that would use both human and alien methods to protect the training center. Multiple layers of security, Hyrin explained. Each team's strengths covering the other's weaknesses. Moon Yun-ho and Kim Yoo-jin presented their ideas for a combined medical center. They showed how human first aid techniques could work alongside alien healing technology. We can save more lives together than either team could alone, Yoo-jin told the medical officers who came to evaluate their proposal. Finally, after a week of meetings and demonstrations, the leaders made their decision. Both teams gathered in the conference room to hear the news. Do-hyun and Hae-nul stood together at the front of the room. "I am pleased to announce," Do-hyun said, looking at his team with pride, "that both Earth's Military Command and the Stellar Guard High Command have approved the Joint Training Facility project." The room erupted in cheerful applause. Hae-nul raised his hand for quiet and continued the announcement. "Our teams will be the first instructors at the new facility," he said. "We will help design the training programs and teach the first group of students from both our worlds." "When do we start?" several voices asked at once. "Preparation begins immediately," Do-hyun answered. "We leave for planet T-147 in 1 week. We'll be the first team to set up the new facility." As the two teams celebrated together, Do-hyun watched his people talking excitedly with their alien counterparts. What had started as a simple competition had led to something much bigger, a chance to change how different species work together across the galaxy. "They're ready," Hae-nul said quietly, standing beside him. "Both our teams. They will make this work." Do-hyun nodded. They had a lot of work ahead of them, but he knew their teams would face it together, just as they had faced every challenge so far. The morning of departure arrived bright and clear. Major Lee Do-hyun stood with his team outside the training facility, each person carrying a single bag of personal items. The Stellar Guard ship hovered silently above them, its silver surface gleaming in the early sunlight. Commander Kang Hae-nul approached them with his team. "Are you ready to make history?" he asked with a smile. "Ready as we'll ever be," Do-hyun replied, looking at his team. They all stood tall and proud, wearing their dress uniforms for the occasion. A bright blue light surrounded them, and suddenly they were inside the alien ship. The humans looked around with wonder at their first time aboard an actual spaceship. The interior was sleek and clean, with smooth walls that seemed to glow softly. "Let me show you to your quarters," Ryu Taeyang said. "We have a 3-day journey to planet T-147. As they walked through the ship, Captain Choi Dae-sung couldn't stop asking questions about the technology around them. Som Min-ji answered each one patiently, explaining how different systems worked. "You'll have plenty of time to learn everything," Min-ji assured him. "This ship will be making regular trips between Earth and our new facility." Master Sergeant Park Ji-won and Moon Yun-ho discussed their plans for the training programs they would create. "We should start with basic physical conditioning," Ji-won suggested, "something both species can do together." "Yes," Yun-ho agreed, "building trust through shared challenges, just like we did." In the medical bay, combat medic Kim Yoo-jin worked with Lee Hai-rin to set up a combined human and alien first aid station. They wanted to be prepared for any problems during the journey. "This is just practice," Yoo-jin said happily. "Wait until we build the real medical center on the planet." Lieutenant Nam Soo-hyuk stood at a viewing window, watching Earth grow smaller below them. The blue planet looked peaceful from space, surrounded by stars. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" Hae-nul said, joining him. "The first time seeing your home world from space is always special." Soon, all members of both teams gathered on the ship's observation deck. They watched together as Earth became a small blue marble in the distance. No one spoke for a while, each person lost in their own thoughts about the adventure ahead of them. "I have something to show you," Hae-nul said finally. He touched a control panel, and the viewing screen changed to show their destination. Planet T-147 appeared before them, its 2 moons clearly visible. "That's our new home," Do-hyun said quietly, "where we'll build something that's never existed before." "More than just a training facility," Hae-nul added. "We're building a bridge between our worlds, a place where humans and aliens can learn to work together as equals. The teams looked at the image of their destination. The planet's surface showed vast forests, mountains, and oceans that reminded them of Earth, but with subtle differences that marked it as alien. "We should give it a proper name," Tai Yang suggested. T-147 sounds too cold for a place that will mean so much. "How about New Horizon?" Ji-1 offered. "Since that's what we're creating. A new horizon for both our species." Everyone agreed this was perfect. As the ship moved smoothly through space, human and alien warriors stood together, united in their mission to create something extraordinary. Their competition had led to friendship, and their friendship would now lead to a new chapter in the history of both their worlds. The stars stretched endlessly before them, full of possibilities. Their journey was just beginning.